The Battle of Trillis marked the initial engagement of the Second Galactic Civil War. After hearing a devastating plan by Thraken Salsolo to retake Trillis, Wedge Antilles proposed an alternative, Operation Noble Savage. The Galactic Alliance had established a base inside an art museum on Trillis. Beneath this base was a shield that protected the building. At the edge of the shield sphere was a partially constructed building with enough open space for a starfighter to fly through. This building also created a gap in the Alliance's shield coverage. Wedge's plan was for two of the new Y.T 5100 Shriek bombers to fly through the structure and destroy it, completely eliminating the Alliance's beachhead on Trillis. The plan was approved, and Han Solo was secretly selected to pilot one of the bombers, with Wedge flying the other. The next day, with the Alliance fleet and the flagship Dodonna in orbit over Trillis, the Corellians launched squadrons of starfighters to the planet to distract the Galactic Alliance forces. Amid the chaos, Wedge and Han Solo descended to the surface in their Shriek bombers, navigating with great difficulty through the building structure and eventually reaching the interior of the shield. Together, they destroyed the museum and the shield generator, while the remaining Corellian fighters covered their escape. Following the attack, the Galactic Alliance fleet also withdrew from the system. After Adel Saxan's assassination, Jason and Ben attempted to track down her killers. They traveled to Lurd and reunited with Jason's former apprentice, Nilani Din. On Lurd, they encountered individuals claiming to be under the influence of a Force ghost. This ghost was revealed to be Brichasio, the Dark Lady of the Sith, Lumia. Lumia led the three Jedi to her asteroid home, which she claimed had once belonged to a Sith Lord named Darth Vectivus. The four descended into the caves to confront Vectivus, where Lumia split them up. Ben and Nilani faced Force ghosts, while Jason and Lumia confronted Vectivus. Lumia told Jason that Verger had trained her to complete Jason's training after her death. She began drawing Jason toward the dark side, but Nilani attacked first. Lumia and Nilani clashed briefly in a lightsaber duel, but Jason intervened and killed Nilani. Now in service to the Sith, Jason covered up Lumia's existence by erasing Ben's memory. In the weeks following the Battle of Trillis, Jason Solo successfully pressured Cal Omar and the Senate to create a new organization aimed at countering the growing threat of Corellian sympathizing terrorists. This followed the bombing of the elite hotel in Galactic City, which was traced back to Corellian extremists. The attack left hundreds dead and many more wounded. After Mara Jade Skywalker declined the position, Omar asked Jason if he would lead the new paramilitary organization on Coruscant. Jason agreed and was given the rank of colonel. With the incorporation of Coruscant Security Force operatives, former New Republic intelligence agents, and Special Forces veterans, the Galactic Alliance Guard, or G.G, used public and highly effective methods to crack down on Corellian insurgents. The move led Supreme Commander Jalad Pelion to resign as head of the Galactic Alliance Defense Force. He was replaced by the ambitious and hardline Char Niathal. To the dismay of Luke Skywalker and the Jedi Council, high-profile images of Jason and Ben Skywalker leading G.G raids began to spark concerns that the Galactic Alliance was transforming into the Empire once more, and that another Skywalker was at the helm. Under the mentorship of Captain Lon Chevu, Ben Skywalker found purpose in the Guard. His eagerness to learn and make a difference further increased the tension between the young Jedi and his parents. When Jason convinced Omar to proceed with the internment of Corellians on Coruscant, the 967th GAG Command Detachment became known as the Stormtroopers among both its members and the public. This action further inflamed unrest, sparking riots and triggering secessionist movements on dozens of worlds. Worst of all, Han Solo, outraged that his own son was leading the internment of thousands, possibly millions, of Corellians, realized he no longer recognized the boy he had raised. The Galactic Alliance Guard had become Jason Solo's fist, mirroring his grandfather Darth Vader and the 501st Legion, also known as Vader's Fist. With the gag fully at his disposal, Jason led the blockade of Corellia, delivering the first open strike against the Five Worlds in a renewed effort to force their surrender. Months of scattered skirmishes followed, as the Corellian home fleet attempted to break through the Corellian exclusion zone. Many system governments were outraged by the blockade, and when the Galactic Alliance Defense Forces' agenda to centralize all military resources became clear, planets like Botoyue, Atserai, and Komina were drawn into the war on Corellia's side. Simultaneously with events on Coruscant, Han and Leia Solo were contacted by Djegdjen, a member of Corellia's Democratic Alliance, who secretly wanted Thraken Sal Solo permanently removed from office. Djegdjen brought up the idea of assassinating Sal Solo, something the Solos needed time to consider. Not fully trusting the Solos to carry out the task, Djegdjen also hired Boba Fett to kill Sal Solo. Fett had already been considering accepting a job from Thraken to help protect Centralia Station from the Galactic Alliance blockade. However, Boba chose to take Djegdjen's contract instead. Before reaching Sal Solo's office, Boba, accompanied by his granddaughter Murtagev, encountered Han Solo. Han, who already had a bounty on his head, along with the rest of his family placed by Sal Solo, was being hunted by Fett's estranged daughter, Ailyn Vel. Fett saw this as an opportunity to reunite with the daughter he hadn't seen since she was an infant. Han informed Fett that Jacen had already captured Ailyn, who had been hiding with Corellian insurgents on Coruscant. Han and Fett struck a deal. If Han was allowed to kill his cousin, he would convince Jacen to release Ailyn. It was later revealed that Jacen killed Ailyn during interrogation. Boba, Murta, and Han, disguised in Mandalorian armor, arrived at Sal Solo's office. Boba briefly discussed his contract with Thraken before Han revealed his identity and attempted to kill the Corellian president. Sal Solo then revealed that he had intentionally lured Ailyn to Coruscant. He wanted her captured to cover up the threat posed by other bounty hunters he had hired to assassinate the Solo family. In a burst of rage, Murta shot Sal Solo in the forehead. Fett then shot him in the chest to ensure he was dead. Han, needing some form of closure or revenge, slowly fired one final blaster bolt into his cousin's lifeless body. Following Sal Solo's assassination, Djegdjen assumed control of the Corellian government. Under Djegdjen's leadership, Corellia continued to reject negotiations with the Alliance. Chief of State Kal Omar formally declared a state of war between the Galactic Alliance and Corellia. As the crisis deepened, Jacen Solo was increasingly forced to rely on the Coruscant world brain to help him locate terrorists. This was a Yuuzhan Vong Jurim, a remnant of the planet's occupation during the Yuuzhan Vong War, which had grown to coordinate the terraforming of Coruscant. However, fearing assassination by the boathands of the True Victory Party, who sought to continue their genocidal Arcry campaign against the Yuuzhan Vong, the world brain fled from the planetary well, and Jacen had to pursue it into the depths of Coruscant. What Jacen didn't realize was that he was also being tracked by the former Killik Knight Herald, Alima Ra. She sought to kill Jacen in revenge for what she perceived as the Solo family abandoning her during the Battle of Tenup in the Sworn War. Jacen eventually found the world brain and attempted to bring it back. However, Alima tried to assassinate him with a poison dart. Lumia, sensing the attack, alerted Jacen in time, and the dart struck and killed the world brain instead. Enraged by the death of the world brain and convinced the boathands were to blame, Jacen ordered the execution of numerous boathands on Coruscant, which led Botoyue to officially join Corellia's side in the war. Meanwhile, Alima continued to stalk both Jacen and Lumia. She eventually revealed herself to Lumia when Jedi Tessina Lobi was on the verge of exposing her to the Jedi Council. Together, Alima and Lumia ambushed and killed Lobi, and Alima pledged herself to Lumia's service. When news of Lobi's death reached the Jedi Council, Luke Skywalker believed Lumia was responsible. Along with Mara Jade, he followed the trail from Lobi's body to Lumia's hideout at the Roku depot. There, they confronted Lumia and Alima separately. Mara defeated Alima and discovered she was wearing a suicide vest. Disarming her, Mara rushed to find Luke, who was already engaged in a firefight with Lumia. Mara informed him of the explosives and escaped the building before it detonated, leaving both Lumia and Alima apparently dead. During the war, Corellian leadership attempted to draw the Haps Consortium into the conflict on their side by plotting the assassination of Queen Mother Tenel Ka-Jo and her daughter Alana, intending to replace them with a pro-Corellian faction. The Corellians aligned themselves with discontented Hapan nobles operating under the name Heritage Council, and secretly dispatched a force of new Corellian battleships to assist the Hapan rebels. In the end, both parts of the plan failed. The Hapan rebels and their Corellian allies were defeated in the Battle of Haps, and the Queen Mother and her daughter survived the assassination attempts. Most of the Hapan nobles allied with the Five Worlds were either captured or killed. However, the failed coup only served to escalate the tensions even further. In the second half of the year 40 after Yavin, the blockade of Corellia by the Galactic Alliance was still ongoing. However, Botoyure, enraged by the assassination of several prominent members of the True Victory Party on Coruscant, and strongly suspecting the Alliance was behind it, began to assemble a battle fleet. The Alliance was aware of this and had taken precautions to ensure that the fleet couldn't leave Botan space without being detected. However, sabotage of the Alliance's monitoring systems by Admiral Matrick Klauskin, who had fallen under Lumia's influence, allowed the Botans to jump into the Corellian system, where they assisted Corellia in breaking the blockade. The Alliance was forced to retreat, attempting to damage Centerpoint Station beyond repair before withdrawing. As the war escalated, Ben Skywalker, who had been separated from Jason after Luke feared Jason would drag him to the dark side, received a message via Sihar Dorfald, an apprentice working with Jason. Ben was instructed to track down the Amulet of Kalera on the Almanian moon of Druwa. He did so, only to discover it had already been stolen by a man named Faskus and taken to Zeist. On Zeist, Ben found a dying Faskus, who had been attacked by agents led by the Botan Bilfindi, sent by the Dark Lady Lumia as part of a test to see if Ben was ready to become Jason's apprentice. Together with an R2 unit named Whiplash, Ben rescued Kira, Faskus's daughter, and escaped with her after discovering a Sith meditation sphere, which they used to flee the planet, destroying the ship in the process. Ben returned Kira and Whiplash to Druwa, and delivered the ship and the amulet to Jason. However, his ordeals had shaken his trust in his cousin. Meanwhile, Lumia came to believe that Ben would never be suitable to become Jason's apprentice. Shortly after the blockade was broken, Komina and Botoyue officially joined Corellia, forming the Confederation. Soon, other planets followed, most notably Fonda, Bispin, and Adumar. For several weeks, the Alliance and the Confederation engaged in scattered skirmishes, focusing more on preparing for the inevitable war than launching direct assaults. Instead, they carried out minor, sporadic raids against one another. The Galactic Alliance intelligence learned that the Confederation was planning a summit on Gelata 8 to elect a new Supreme Commander. In response, Jason Solo proposed a four-phase operation to ambush the Confederation and disrupt the supposed gathering. However, the Alliance's attempt to sabotage the summit resulted in the Battle of Gelata 8. When it was revealed the meeting was a trap, the actual election had taken place the day before. The battle ended in a stalemate, with both sides withdrawing to prepare for the next stage of war. The separate planetary fleets were reorganized into a unified Confederation fleet, with former Imperial General Tarfena appointed as the Supreme Commander of the Confederation Armed Forces.